An impressive amount of LEGO Star Wars fans seem hung up about how the clone troopers appear in LEGO sets. But what if I were to tell you their argument has some justification? How they go about expressing their opinion on the matter is their own decision. Let's go over the issues at hand that led us to this point. First and foremost, for those of you non-Star Wars people stopping by, this is a stormtrooper. They look like they have eye holes. This is also a stormtrooper. These ones look like they have shades. These here are clone troopers. These ones have a T-shape on their helmets, for the most part at least. People call the ones with the angular chin Phase 1 troopers. The one with the circular spots in the chin get called Phase 2 troopers. We'll be using those terms while we focus on the clone troopers today. Ever since the clone troopers first showed up, LEGO has been making figures off of them. As time went on, more unique characters among them were introduced, featuring special outfits and colors to either show their status or their individuality. Some shows even had different styles from the movies, and in the past, LEGO has paid attention to those details and how they design the minifigs. After a bit of a lull, while the most recent trilogy of Star Wars movies released, LEGO began to, once again, put the clone troopers regularly in their sets. This included both phases of clone troopers, but the majority was the Phase 2 clone troopers. Beginning specifically with the 501st Legion clone troopers set, we began to regularly see these troopers. Immediately, fan excitement turned to getting particular clones, such as Captain Rex and Commander Cody. LEGO tends to keep an ear on the ground just to hear what's of interest from fans. It's why the 501st Legion set was made in the first place, but it's also how we ended up getting Commander Cody, who features a unique helmet with a visor built into it, among other details. To have this visor attached to the helmet, LEGO decided to add holes to the helmet they already had for Phase 2 clone troopers, right above those circular spots that would have worked perfectly, were they not too low in order to accommodate the visor needed for Commander Cody. However, rather than making this helmet with holes unique to Commander Cody, and any other future Phase 2 clone troopers that would have the visor, they decided to give this modified helmet to all of the Phase 2 troopers from there on. In prospect of builders wanting to customize their troopers with the accessories these sets would often include, the aforementioned visors, and these antennas called rangefinders, this makes sense, or I imagine that was the intention anyway. Distaste in the choice ended up growing throughout the community, as it looked like giant holes were literally drilled into the helmets of every figure, what with how that ring shape is formed around the accessory ports. That shape is there to make that spot thick enough to hold the accessories while they wear them. Seems a little silly at a glance, but when you realize that this was the first time Phase 2 troopers got those accessory ports, many in need of accessories to complete their designs, it can be a bit defeating after waiting so long, considering these helmets were featured in Star Wars stories as early as 2005. By this point, it was 2022, especially since the Phase 1 troopers have a helmet that have always had the option for accessories with the holes in the side, and were placed perfectly on those rounded ends of their helmets, as the thickness of the walls of the helmet are perfect there for that. Clearly what happened here was that original piece mold for the Phase 2 Troopers helmet was modified to add holes, rather than making a completely new helmet, opting to put them in a spot convenient for the visor specifically, compromising the shape of the helmets. This instead of having two separate molds for the helmets, one with the holes, one without them. The negativity comes from them looking rather intrusive to the appearance of these characters that looked just fine before. The preference, I'm sure, would be LEGO making a brand new Phase 2 Trooper helmet that would see a shape that would look attractive while also accommodating accessories as well. I feel perhaps part designers worry about the shape of the helmet being deformed because of that, but let's be real here, these are LEGO minifigs. You're gonna have to take some creative liberties on proportions to make things work. Look how wide LEGO Sonic is compared to his video game appearance, for instance. They're still gonna keep him within the design language of the minifig. Making a new one that would pair well with the Phase 1 Trooper helmet would certainly solve most issues. Something that should be clarified now is that people like to make armies out of these characters. They are troopers after all. Often displayed, fans would want the troopers to look good while doing so, hence the scrutiny in how they appear. You'll also notice how these helmets have fins going down the forehead. Some of these have color markings here, and in the past, they have lined up perfectly against the fins, or fit perfectly on top of them, just like they're supposed to. These days, that almost never happens, to the point that some have huge gaps between the markings and the fins. Clearly there has to be some changes in quality control. Most fans ask, if they could do it before, why can't they do it now? Especially for a company that's doing as well as LEGO. You would think budgets would accommodate for that. While the helmets have been a huge topic of contention within the LEGO Star Wars community, there is another thing that's been a serious topic of discussion. You see how Captain Rex here has a cape around his waist? Called a comma. From the start, LEGO created specific elements for these characters, eventually leading to fabric ones in the early 2010s. This lasted until 2020, the same year, and even the same wave the 501st Legion arrived. Jumping to 2022, more characters needing a comma were introduced. However, an implied one was printed on these instead. The assumption was that they no longer were making them, but that proved false in time as other themes introduced characters wearing waist capes that work the exact same way. LEGO uses the price of printing as a reason not to print on the sides of minifigure legs, and they never print on the behind of the minifig either. This leaves these comma-wearing clones with this appearance of them not going around the back. Some have suggested that LEGO should just dual mold the legs, meaning that they make both halves of the legs different colors of plastic, and then print white designs that look like the uncovered part of the legs over the dark colored plastic to make the full comma. Thing is, LEGO has proven consistently that would look even worse. Another idea people had on why commas weren't being made for clones was the assumption that kids tear them off, not realizing how to take them off, in order to sit the minifig in their vehicles. If this were an issue, LEGO could just add a blurb to the instructions showing how to remove them. Considering other sets that have waist cape wearers don't have that, it's assumed that's not the case. But if those figures are getting them, why not the clones? It can be integral to some clones' appearance, and with how lucrative LEGO Star Wars is, they might as well make them as perfect as they can be, right? LEGO lives by the motto, only the best is good enough, whether that is a code of strict conduct or simply a phrase to encourage quality. It's clear that fans would not see any of these issues falling under either interpretation. This doesn't sit well with concerned fans too, when budget is going into products that seem strange to even exist while these issues persist, especially when they were not issues before. Add this to strange happenings in LEGO's marketing materials for these sets as well. On the cover of one set, it shows the rangefinder antenna attached to a clone trooper's helmet where the fans would have expected it to be, rather than in the hole they added to the helmet that is also clearly shown here as well. In another, you have these clones with stripes on their helmets that, while they aren't perfectly lined up to the fins, they're all symmetrical and lined up perfect. You'll be lucky to find any clones like these with printing this nice. The reason these images are this way is because LEGO made them digitally, rather than using pictures of the final product you'll receive. It's false advertising, but whether this has any legal grounds to take action on is something one should ask a lawyer, not someone like me. Tensions did not start the best either. In 2021, a mix of promotional flubs led to sincere disappointment from fans. The most notable being this figure's inclusion in the Ultimate Collector Series Republic gunship. Nothing is wrong with this clone trooper commander. It's a thoughtful inclusion. The issue is how the designers tried, sincerely, to convince people that it was a pilot. This image here shows detailed figurines of a clone pilot and a commander. Yeah. That's about where everything started to snowball. I understand these fans' feelings, and I know some go about different ways to express that, some that can be hard to understand, but I hope that this clears up the waters a bit. It is nitpicky, but we all can be that way, especially when our favorite things are involved. As for me, I'm just happy we're getting clone troopers so frequently, although I would love for them to look the best they can be too. So I'm on both sides. I'm good with what I have, but if they can be better, I'd love to see that too. Did you know this was going on? Do you feel this video clarified things? If you are someone who's been wanting to see this change, did I represent you well enough? You can answer below in the comments and let me know if there's anything more about this that I missed. If you'd like to support this channel, you'll find sets featured in this video to purchase in the tagged product section on your screen. I may earn a small commission if you choose to. You can also donate an amount of your choice with super thanks by clicking the thanks button. Your comment gets highlighted in the comment section for your generosity. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe for more videos like it. I'm Pen, and I'll see you next time.